Hi guys, and welcome back to this week's episode of I'll Read What She's Reading podcast. This is Mikayla.
I'm Reggie.
And I'm Kennedy.
And this week we are talking about all things Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Is it Maas or Maas?
I think it's Maas.
I think it's Maas.
I always want to say Maas because of the two A's.
Maas. Sarah J. Maas.
We'll go with Maas.
All right, it's Maas.
I've been saying Maas this entire time.
I have too. Not a true fan right here.
Yes, you are.
How do we want to start this? Well, if you guys didn't know, this is my favorite book series of all time. So they deemed me in charge of this episode. I'm so sorry.
We would have had it no other way.
All right. So we wanted to give you guys a chance to, for those of you who haven't read, to kind of get a little sneak peek into what this series is about. And it's kind of hard to like sum it up because a lot of things change throughout the series. And so I'm kind of just going to start with the first 3 books ish. Just kind of a summary. Pretty much there's a girl. She's an assassin.
We love her.
My favorite. And I don't even remember. I gotta remember. Oh yeah, she was a slave, and this prince comes and gets her from the slave camp.
Yeah.
Salt mines.
Indovir?
Indovir.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
I think so.
I don't know how to pronounce stuff. And pretty much there's a king's tournament happening, and he wants her to be his
King's champion.
yeah.
Think Hunger Games,
Yeah, I was getting Hunger Games vibes.
but better.
Yeah. So, and of course the prince is super dashing, and of course the royal guard is dashing as well. So, very sexy. And so that's pretty much how it is. You just get a little story of
An assassin.
yeah. And it's the best thing ever. She's
these-
bad A.
And these 2 dashing boys.
These
Yes.
2 dashing boys. We love it.
I also feel like we should mention for people who might want to start Throne of Glass or are interested in reading it. This is the same author who wrote ACOTAR and
Yep.
Crescent City. So if
Yes.
you have already read ACOTAR, I know a lot of people that have read ACOTAR first get really excited to read Throne of Glass, and like vice versa. So would you recommend, Mikayla, reading Throne of Glass first or ACOTAR first?
I don't know. I feel like my opinion changes.
mean,
I feel
I
like
don't feel like it matters, but
I feel like it does.
oh, you do?
I kind of feel like it does in the sense of like readers. Like I feel like if you aren't super into reading, or if you haven't read fantasy before, you should read ACOTAR first.
Yeah.
Because it's way less dense. There's way less fantasy elements in ACOTAR than there is in Throne of Glass. And so if you read ACOTAR and you get attached to Sarah's writing, I think you'll be more willing to give Throne of Glass a chance.
I think had I started Throne of Glass first, I don't know if I think I still maybe would have wanted to try to read ACOTAR, but I don't think I would have enjoyed Throne of Glass as much, if that makes sense. I think it just depends on the person.
Yeah.
From what?
Well, I read it first.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, this is my second time reading it with them, so I don't know. I feel like there's some things towards the end of the series that's easier to understand having read ACOTAR, but I don't know. I feel like people get comfortable with the easiness of ACOTAR and they start comparing because Throne of Glass is really complex and there's lots of characters going on, really big plots. So
yeah, I'd say Throne of Glass is a lot bigger of a commitment than ACOTAR, just in the sense of like there's obviously more books and they are bigger.
Yeah, I think there's
some of
more.
them.
Well, I mean, it's
the
hard
last
to
few.
It's hard to compare too because Throne of Glass is a complete series, whereas ACOTAR isn't. So, like, even if you compare the page numbers, how many pages are in each series, you can't because ACOTAR is not completed.
Yeah.
So when it's all said and done, ACOTAR might be more of a
It could
commitment.
be. It could be
because
longer.
it's more pages. I don't know. As of right now, Yeah, Throne of
I
Glass
think
is
the
more of a
first
commitment.
5 books are shorter than all of the
True.
Yeah.
ACOTAR books. Like
Except for Quarter Frost and Starlight.
Quarter Frost and Starlight. We don't talk
We
about
don't
that one. So I don't know. I really liked reading it first, but there were definitely some things that after reading ACOTAR I was like, oh, this makes a little bit more sense. So I don't know. Do what you will with that information.
Yeah.
I would say if you are like an avid fantasy reader, maybe read Throne of Glass first if you haven't read.
Well, and
I mean, I don't know.
I feel like people also get disappointed because Throne of Glass is young adult and it's way less romance than ACOTAR.
Yeah.
ACOTAR is new adult with lots of romance, so I feel like people that are like kind of disappointed and like, where's the romance? I'm like, it's not about the romance in Throne of Glass at all. That is the subplot. The romance in ACOTAR is the plot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think if you are somebody, just if you're looking into reading Throne of Glass, just go in knowing that the plot is extremely complex. It's told in, no joke, 12 different characters' perspectives, which I really enjoyed that. So just be aware that it's a lot more complex of a plot. And if you're looking for a book that isn't surface level and just like not easy to read,
more complex.
Yeah.
I feel like that's why I enjoy it a little bit more. It's just because ACOTAR is just very straight to the point, and you don't really have to think a lot about what you're reading.
We've kind of we've told people before, I feel like Throne of Glass as a whole is really similar to ACOTAR. So if you really enjoyed ACOTAR, I think you'll really enjoy Throne of Glass, because in ACOTAR it's less of a romance, more of like politics, war.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're a little bit more similar vibes.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I can agree. I concur.
We agree. What do you know? We agree.
We agree.
Which
that
kind of
might be the last thing we agree on, but
guys, here we go. Which kind of leads in kind of a little bit into the next question and debate. It's all over TikTok. If you guys have seen anything about Throne of Glass, you'll know this is one of like the hottest debates for this series, is the order in which you read the books, which you would think
You would just read
them in order. But there is one book that creates quite a controversy on when to read in the series.
well, I feel like there's like 3.
Yeah, because people want to read either Assassin's Blade. Well, there's the thing with Assassin's Blade. There's like the tandem read. There's
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So, Mikayla, let's what if we each kind of give our own opinion, and honestly, it might all be the same.
Okay.
Tell your story about how you didn't read Assassin's Blade at all.
Okay. Yeah. The first time I read it, I did not read Assassin's Blade because
which Assassin's Blade is basically the prequel to Throne of Glass.
Yeah. Yes, and it's 5 novellas in one book.
and I bought Throne of Glass by itself, like just the first book, and then I finished it and I was like, I'm hooked. I have to buy the rest. And I didn't really know what Assassin's Blade was. I was really confused. So I went on TikTok and people were like, read it after the 3rd book and Hair of Fire and whatever. And after I read like Hair of Fire, I was like, I don't want to go read this right now. Because all the stories, every book pretty much leads right into the next one. And I was like, I just want to keep continuing with the story because everyone on TikTok was saying it was a prequel to Throne of Glass. And I was like,
yeah, why would you want to read?
Why would I want to go back? And I'm like, I'm already starting to put context clues as to what Assassin's Blade was about. I'm like, I feel like I know everything that I need to know, because she does really good job of like, when she brings small details in, they might not notice at the beginning. She'll kind of make like a drawback to it.
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
So I just didn't ever read Assassin's Blade the first time I read it through.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was saying we need to read Throne of Glass because we just finished ACOTAR, I was like, we have to read Assassin's Blade first. And yeah, and I'm really glad you guys read it first, but I'm going to get their opinion on how they would prefer it to be.
Because usually people debate between reading it first or third, right?
Yeah.
Which I don't understand why you, well, like, I can understand why you'd maybe want to read it after the third one.
Well, people say that it's like the more romantic version of reading it. If you want to read it the romantic way, you read it third.
I disagree with that.
I don't
completely
understand.
Because
I don't
you
get
more attached to Sam, and when I first read it, I was like, I don't know who this character is, but I'm like sad for her.
Yeah.
I think why people say third is because of the drawbacks to if you remember, she dyed her hair red for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
And those characters are in the Assassin's Blade.
Yeah.
So
that
I feel
makes
like
sense.
but like I knew it once they drew back to when the characters came into play and like, oh, that's why you dyed your hair.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I liked reading it first because I've kind of heard a lot of people have a hard time with Throne of Glass, the first book. Whereas I really enjoyed Throne of Glass because I felt like I had established this connection with Selena already.
Mm-hmm.
And so reading Throne of Glass was really, really easy for me. Plus, they're just quick, fast-paced stories where you get to know Selena as a character. And so I like fast-paced. And so it helped me, like it helped kickstart my interest into this storyline.
Well, and it made me like her more because you learn, I mean, obviously you learn more about her, but you also understand her role as an assassin a lot more, which made me really like Throne of Glass because I know of 2 other people who were like, I thought the Throne of Glass was kind of boring. Like they didn't like it, but I thought it was really entertaining because I was like, I understand like why she's competing in this and like you kind of get more of that backstory. So
because you don't really see her as much as an assassin in the first book, I feel like.
It's like they literally, it starts with them
Hunger
like
Games.
picking her up. So it's like, I don't know. I'm glad I read Assassin's Blade first.
I liked it.
You made a good call, Mikayla.
Thanks. I pretty much was just like, they need to have a better experience.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I read Assassin's Blade and I still bawled like a baby, even though I knew what was happening. I still bawled. They had no idea. And so it was fun to live through their eyes with not knowing that. Okay, we probably should say spoilers now. We're going to talk about.
So if there's your little glimpse into Throne of Glass. Hopefully that helps you decide if you want to read it or not or get too excited. But now you can stop listening and come back after you finish how many books are there? 7?
Lots of books.
So
I think there's 8, including
Enjoy
Assassin's
your journey.
Blade.
yeah.
Enjoy it. There's actually one more book we have to talk about though. We have to talk about the tandem read.
The tandem
which
read.
will be hard not to give spoilers. So I'm glad we gave spoiler warning.
I don't like the tandem read.
I don't think I would have either.
Because, I mean, I didn't do it. And so feel free to comment your opinions if you did do tandem read. But I feel like you can't appreciate the books individually when you do a tandem read.
Yes.
Well, it also sounds like a lot of work.
2 big books. Like
you're like,
having to
800
like
pages books.
literally people put like tabs on when they need to switch to the other book. And I'm like, that just sounds too exhausting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you. I feel like had I read it's Tower of Dawn and Empire of Storms, right?
Yeah.
Had I read them together, I don't think I would have been nearly as invested in Cole and Kale and Irene's story.
Yeah.
It's Irene, right?
Yeah, it's Irene.
Okay. Because I would have just wanted to keep going back to Selena.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'd say Aelin and Rowan and all that whole storyline. And I just felt like
Manon. Dorian.
We'll get into Manon. Oh, wow. I actually found myself really loving Tower of Dawn because it's
did too.
Me too.
Reggie, did you read it?
We can talk about it in a second, unless you want me to talk about it right now. But
and it's such an integral part of the ending.
Yeah, Kingdom
with
of
the
Ash.
healers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I really liked the book. I thought I was gonna hate it. I really liked it.
I feel like just the first few chapters are rough to get through.
Yeah.
But I think I even loved it like more the second time around.
Oh, I bet you did.
Yeah. It was really good. Okay, Reggie, tell us your opinion. How'd you like Tower of Dawn?
Okay. Let me just, I will state my case on my overall thoughts on this series. and then we can continue on, because I don't need to bring it up. I don't want to have to like bring it up a bunch of times. Not that I like want to talk about the things I disliked, but basically I skipped Tower of Dawn because, and we talked about this in one of our past episodes, because we were like reading Empire of Storms at the time, and I basically like, I really enjoyed the first, so like Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, and Crown of Midnight. I really loved those like 3 a lot. But when I was getting into like Queen of Shadows and Heir of Fire, I can't remember which ones come first. Anyways,
Heir of Fire,
I was just having like a harder time with it, and I think it was just because like I'm new to the fantasy world. Like ACOTAR was the first fantasy book I've read since I was in like middle or junior high, so it'd been a really long time, and I think I was just getting a little bit of fatigue from the book. It was just a lot for me, and it's not something that like I was used to since I had only just read ACOTAR, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I just wasn't as like connected with it as Kennedy and Mikayla were, and so it was kind of like, it kind of felt like a chore to read at some point, but I was like also, and a lot of this was partially my fault, and I can like say that like I probably was just like lazy with reading it, and so I would like try and listen to it on the audiobook just so I could like try and get through it. It was just I don't want to say it was a snooze fest, but like I just wasn't as connected with it, and like I know that like that's disappointing for you guys to hear, but it just like was not, I don't know, it just like wasn't my favorite, and I was like getting a little like, I don't know, I just wasn't as invested, and so I finished Empire of Storms, and I really liked Empire of Storms, but the ending was like, I don't know, there's just a lot of things that like, I mean, I guess I can say spoilers, because here's the thing. I've seen a lot of people talking about this recently, so I know I'm not alone in my thoughts on this, but like the end of Empire of Storms had a lot of parallels to the end of A Court of Mist and Fury. I know you guys might not agree with me on that, and that's okay. Yeah. But like there were just like some things like that I know that I've seen TikToks of that people are like, oh my gosh, like when I read this I was just like, what? And like I read it and I was just like, oh, like it just didn't like shock me. I wasn't super wowed by the ending. So by the time I finished that, I was just like, okay, I still have Tower of Dawn and Kingdom of Ash to read, and Tower of Dawn is very big, and I knew that it was following like Kale's storyline, and I do love Kale, but like
he's kind of a Debbie Downer at the end.
I just wasn't. I just feel like at this point in my reading, and I do feel bad that like I didn't read it, but also I think I don't really know how to explain my thoughts, but basically it was just like I hated but the thing I really hated was reading, like the amount of effort I needed to put into it. I wasn't loving it enough to put the effort in to just like read Tower of Dawn. And I know that was like lazy of me, and you guys are like, why didn't you just read it? But I was just like honestly wanted to be done. And I just had Mikayla and Kennedy give me the synopsis of everything that happened, and I felt like I gathered all of that fairly well from reading the final book-ish. I do wish like after I finished Kingdom of Ash, I was like, I probably should have read Tower of Dawn. I know I probably should have. But to me, it just wasn't, with the fatigue I was having. I just was dying to know what happened in Kingdom of Ash, and I wanted to be done with the series. So I skipped Tower of Dawn.
And that's okay.
And I apologize. Because I know that's disappointing. But yeah, I just needed to take my little... I needed to figure out what happened and be done with it. So...
I mean, Mikayla might disagree with me, but I feel like I would have rather you skipped Tower of Dawn and finished the series than you read Tower of Dawn and never read Kingdom of Ash.
Well, I don't know how I would have read Tower of Dawn and not finished, like, not read Kingdom of Ash.
Yeah, I guess that's
true. I think it was just that, like, a part of me was like, before I started Empire of Storms, I took like a little break for a minute, and I just didn't like worry about Kennedy and Mikayla like catching up with you two, and it was good for me. I think I enjoyed reading Empire of Storms a lot more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So anyways, I know a lot of you listening think I'm a lazy reader, but it just wasn't like, it just didn't blow me away like it blew these two away. And so I feel like I'm just cue the sad music.
We'll start it right
But
now.
here's my thing. I will say this. Did I enjoy the series? I really did enjoy it. Like, I really genuinely love it. I would recommend it to people if they love fantasy. It just wasn't my favorite. And I think that that's okay.
Yeah. That's totally fine.
So,
That's totally fine.
yeah.
Totally fine.
But still loved it. Like, the last book, I probably cried 20 different times throughout the whole book. And I did love it.
Whoa.
Not the ending as much, but
Well,
I did love it.
Let's talk about Kingdom of Ash, because
Okay.
that's like,
I'm sorry if I talked about my
No.
journey a little too
You
long,
can talk about your journey all you want.
but I
It's
do
nice
feel
that we
alone in my
disagree.
thoughts. So if anyone's feeling the same, shoot me a message.
Well, here's my thing. That's why I sometimes wish people wouldn't read ACOTAR first, because a lot of people
Okay.
compare, and Throne of Glass came before ACOTAR.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like, when people are, like, comparing characters to certain characters, I'm like, this character came first, so if anything, it should be comparing Throne of Glass characters to, like, because they're the first ones.
Oh, yeah. And to me, it was like the only time I really feel like I compared it was at the end of Empire of Storms to A Court of Mist and Fury. And to me, I was just kind of like, the fact, it made me almost not like A Court of Mist and Fury as much. It's like one of my favorite books of all time. But I was just kind of like, I understand that, like, this word, I don't know. There were some things that were just a little similar, so similar that I was just like, love you, Sarah J. Maas, but can we try? I mean, I know it's a different storyline and I understand that, but I was kind of like, oh, that doesn't really surprise me when he's like, where's my wife? Because I'm like, they got married? No way. So did, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't say in case anyone hasn't read ACTOAR, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Shoot!
Yeah.
But,
you didn't spoil anything.
Yeah.
You didn't
So,
spoil nothing.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I knew this was going to happen, where I just, like, shut down. But it's just because it's my favorite series, and sometimes I'm like, I don't want my opinion to
No,
be like,
I want you to, I don't want this to be like an argument. I just I genuinely did like love it. Like, I felt very connected to the characters. I felt a lot more connected to the characters in this series than I did ACOTAR, which I didn't think that in the beginning.
Yeah.
But by the end of this, I was just like, I love all of these people so much.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not Adian, but like everyone I really loved. And yeah, so
I think you're entitled to your opinion,
No,
for sure.
yeah, and we don't have to talk about it anymore. I'd love to share all the things I loved, because
Yeah.
there is a lot that I loved. So, but go ahead and share what you
No,
want to
I
say.
was just going to say, well, I love fantasy, and that's what I love reading. Like, romance books to me are snooze fests, and I just think they're really simple and nothing to it. So, like, I think it's just because I love the complex characters. I love a complex plot. That's why it's my favorite. But I do enjoy, and I see why you were getting sick of it, because after the Throne of Glass series, I was like, I need to read a romance book that's just, like, very simple. Obviously, I know these two characters are going to fall in love, and the end.
Yeah, no, that's very
Yeah.
valid. And also the thing too is, it's like with fantasy, and I don't mean this in a negative way at all, but like this series especially, it takes a lot out of you, like emotionally, like mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for me, also as someone who like doesn't have hours on hours at a time to just sit and read with having a child, like I was sitting down reading it for like 30 minutes at a time, and then I'd go do something else, and then I'd sit down and read like for maybe an hour. And so it was like I was never had a time to sit and like read it for super long. And that's one thing I've learned, that if I'm gonna read another fantasy series, I have to really like make sure I have at least like an hour to sit down and read it.
Yeah, the time to commit. Because,
So-
I mean, your experience reading it does play a part in it. And where me and Mikayla do have time to sit and read for 2 hours, that does play a part.
Because I feel like I can, like, completely put myself in the book. Whenever I only read for, like, maybe 20 minutes at a time, I'm like, what the flip did I just read? So I feel like it's definitely a lot easier when I have, like, 2 hours to just, like, completely escape from everything, and I just, like, put myself in the book. I feel like I understand everything a lot better. Like, little things make more sense, and so
You catch a lot more.
Yeah.
I wish
I love that.
I wish I was reading it for the first time with you guys too, because I feel like my feelings might have been different had it been the first time, but since this was my second time, I feel like I just loved everything more because everything made more sense, if that makes sense. So it's kind of hard to compare my feelings because I've already read it before.
Yeah.
So my feelings might have been different had it been the first time, had I read ACOTAR first instead of Throne of Glass. So it's interesting to kind of have that perspective.
Yeah.
I will also say it was interesting having your perspective reading through this, because there were things that you would say, like, for example, when Rowan used her, like, soaps, that went right over my head. Like,
same.
110%. And then when you said that, I was like, wait, she didn't let Sam use her soaps. No. And she didn't want to make that mistake again, so she let Rowan use them. Or when you were talking about how, what's the bathroom scene with Lysandra? Isn't it with Lysandra? When she figures out that the nameless is my price. Isn't that what it is?
Oh, yeah. When Aelin goes to the bathroom.
Yes.
And Rowan's like, what's going on?
Yes.
Like, is everything okay? And he's like, get Lysandra.
Yes.
I literally was sobbing because I knew what was happening and like why she was throwing up, because at the time I was like, is she pregnant? Like,
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought she was pregnant.
Yeah. I was like, what's going on? But it's like when she realized like she had to give her life to save everyone, and that's when she was telling Lysandra like the plan of Lysandra pretending to be her. And so I was like uncontrollably sobbing because I knew what was happening, and Rowan was just feeling so like, what can I do to help you? Like, what are you doing? And so it was.
I love that so much.
Shall we talk about Kingdom of Ash?
We shall.
Yes. It's fresh on the brain. I feel
my
like.
favorite book of all time, you guys. It's.
I've literally said this probably 15 times, and these two know exactly where I'm going with this. This book is literally, it felt like Avengers Endgame to me. Like, all these people coming together for this one purpose, to defeat this like big bad villain, and it was so satisfying to me.
Incredible.
Oh my gosh, it was
incredible. It just, for me, this book is so satisfying because whenever they would ask questions about like, what's this, and I'm like, just wait, because everything comes together.
Yes.
Everything comes together. It's like the most epic battle ever and story. And I was telling Cole this, that it reminds me of Lord of the Rings. And because I had just recently watched Lord of the Rings not too long ago, and literally Lord of the Rings is like one of the highest performing movies of all time, like best-selling book and stuff like that. Which is why I think the series would do so good. Because if like the Lord of the Rings, can you imagine like the Lord of the Rings creating, like the directors and writers creating this series?
James Gunn?
Is that who it is?
No, James Gunn does Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh. I forget. It seriously,
that would actually be incredible.
Yeah.
Like, I think the ACOTAR TV show, I can see why they would want to make ACOTAR into a TV show, but like this could be, which we'll get into our casting for what we would choose in a minute.
I just think it's just, I try to tell Cole that I think you'd really honestly like the series, because it just, after watching Lord of the Rings, I was like, yep, that reminds me of Throne of Glass. Like, yep, that's, and I'm like, Sarah, were you watching Lord of the Rings when you wrote this?
I would kill for this to be a movie series.
Show.
You know, maybe if the ACOTAR TV series performs well. And where ACOTAR isn't finished yet, I don't know. It could be a possibility to...
I forget who had the rights for Throne of Glass. Someone had the rights of Throne of Glass for a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they just didn't do anything with it. I think the contract expired. I don't remember who had the rights, but I'm really upset because I feel like it would be a better TV show than ACOTAR. But I still think ACOTAR would is still going to be a good show if it's done well.
I want Throne of Glass in movies though, because I don't think. Well, I don't know, because so much happens.
I think a movie would be per book. Yeah. Kind of like Harry Potter.
I don't know.
And then split the last book in
to
two.
I don't know.
You'd have to cut so much out though. That's what's hard.
I don't know. Anyways, I like Reggie said, I cried so much reading this book, and I've already read it before, and everything hit me still the same.
I cried 14 times. I counted. I kept a note because I knew I was going to cry in this book. I kept a note of every time I cried 14 times.
Yeah.
That's about, I cried every less than 100 pages.
That's incredible.
I love that a lot.
I love it.
I want to ask you guys, what moment did you cry the most? What moment in the book made you cry the most? I can go first.
Okay, go first.
I cried the most when Gabrielle died. I was hysterical, crying for so many different reasons. One, I have daddy issues, and so the fact that he sacrificed himself for his son just like cut deep. And I don't know. That, and he was the one character that died, so how do you not cry?
Yeah.
But also, runner up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm going to say?
Yeah, I know what you're going to say. Yeah. The
Take
13.
Oh my gosh, wait, you guys.
I thought you were going to say the 13.
Oh, the 13. Oh, Manon. You know, I'm really eating my words. I remember texting Mikayla being like, I hate Manon. This is so boring. I hate her. I hate her chapters.
Okay, to be fair, her chapters are awful in Queen of Shadows. Is it even before? Air of Fire?
Yeah.
They're awful. They're so, even though I knew we were all going to love her towards the end, and I had read the series already, it was so painful the second time around still to get through her chapters. So
Manon is my queen now.
Yeah.
Her and Abraxos.
Yeah. We love Abraxos.
Oh. Yeah, no, I changed my mind. You are 100% right. The 13 wrecked me.
Yeah.
What, 2 chapters? There's 2 chapters that just absolutely destroyed my soul. First of all, I started crying when I thought Abraxos was going to die. And then the 13 sacrificed himself. Live, Manon. Live, Manon.
The kiss to the brow. The fan art of her getting to see her like love and her baby in heaven again.
Oh, I can't.
I think maybe that's when I cried the most.
Mom, because your mom.
Yeah. Yeah, that hit me a little deep. So
yeah.
Yeah.
That hit you deep.
That hit me deep.
Yeah.
Knife to the heart.
Is that yours?
I'm trying to. I know there was another part.
Take it off as a runner up for me.
I don't know, Mikayla, you go first. I'm trying to think. There's 2.
That one, like, you do not yield.
Oh, there we go.
Oh.
There we go. How can I forget
like
that?
literally
Yes.
50 pages in, and I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Fire heart. Why are you crying? It's because, I'm gonna start crying. Anyways, that TikTok that I sent you gets me every time. It doesn't matter if it's been like a year since I've read it. Every time it just makes me cry. And then, take it off. Oh, the absolute.
Or
The
anytime
audio where she's screaming it.
Yeah.
Yes. Or anytime she says, "There once was a girl." What
Who
is
loved
her kingdom? Anytime I said that, I was like,
I have full body chills.
Yeah. And then honestly, the end made me cry.
Oh, the
The
goodbyes.
most. The goodbyes. I don't know if you knew this, Kennedy, but the last line in Kingdom of Ash is also the last line in Throne of Glass.
"Wait, what's the last line?"
Tell me tomorrow.
Stop! I'm gonna cry.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's just, anyways, Aylin's my favorite character, and to see her get anyways, writing my review, I was sobbing. My review made me cry so much, but just seeing all the characters getting the happy ending because they work so hard for it. Why am I crying about this freaking?
No, it's
emotional.
Yeah.
Saying it takes a lot out of you.
It does. It just they become your friends, and I know we've talked about this, but they're they're my best friends. I want to read my review because I feel like that just like sums up my thoughts on Kingdom of Ash, if that makes sense. Ooh, I gotta find it. I got too many books.
Your Goodreads is popping off right
my
now.
Goodreads is popping off. Stop. My review is you did it, Aylin. Thank you for the adventure you took me on. Thank you for introducing me to new friends and getting to read about their stories. I'm happy for all of you getting an ending of a better world and not letting those who sacrifice themselves go to waste. And then I said this book will forever hold a place in my heart, a perfect hard-fought ending. I felt every emotion reading this series, heartbreak, love, anger, stress, and I loved it every second of it. And I said the queen is finally home.
Stop.
I
remember sobbing reading your review, and now I'm just crying again listening to you read it.
Yeah. I know Reggie wasn't as satisfied with the ending, which is totally fine. It's just, yeah. Every little detail of Aelin getting tortured and Dorian being under a collar and pretty much losing himself and not even remembering his own name.
Oh, let's talk about that part too.
Yeah.
Let's talk about his dad and his that made me cry too.
Yeah,
Add that to the list.
Just cried a lot about the king's name being Dorian, and the only time he remembered
was when he named it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally almost spoiled it for you guys because I thought when the king died in, what was it?
Oh,
Emperor's
yeah.
No, it was sooner. It's Queen of Shadows, right?
Yeah, it's Queen of Shadows.
I thought that part happened in Queen of Shadows. And I almost said something, but I was like, wait, I don't remember reading that. I was like, oh my gosh, it doesn't happen until Kingdom of Ash. So I'm so glad I didn't say anything because I almost was like, wait, how come you guys aren't talking about how like
they have the same name?
Yeah. And so
that was such a sweet
and I was like,
moment.
oh crap, like I can't say anything. The amount of times I wanted to like spoil things, but I didn't. I kept my mouth. My mouth was.
Mikayla was great.
Also, you were so good because I saw so many spoiler TikToks.
I hate
vividly
TikTok.
Remember this TikTok of it said something about a girl on fire flying through the worlds, and I was so confused. I was like, what? This has to be about Aelin, but like I don't think this happened. And I remember saying something to Mikayla, and she was like, yeah, I don't know what that's about. Like that's not Throne of Glass.
The best acting I've ever done in my entire life.
And then she falls through worlds.
And little...
I was on the airplane with Mikayla, and I read that. I don't know if Mikayla heard my gasp, but Kendall like thought something happened. He was like, "What?" And I just turned. Mikayla was right behind me. I like stick my face between the seats. I was like, "She fell through." Yeah.
Okay, if you haven't read ACOTAR, skip the next 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Go.
When she sees Rhysand and Feyre,
Mm-hmm.
audibly gasped.
So good.
My jaw couldn't hang any lower.
Oh,
I feel like we were deprived of that scene from ACOTAR, but we kind of got it.
Yeah, it's in there
Silver Flames.
briefly.
Yeah.
Which is kind of annoying, but we were deprived of Rhysand and Feyre's wedding, Aelin and Rowan's wedding, and also that scene like from like Rhysand and Feyre's perspective, because I honestly would love to know what was going through his head.
Me too.
Exactly.
I don't
30
know.
seconds
Never
up.
mind.
You gonna say something?
I was gonna say something, but I'm not gonna say it.
Don't say it.
I'm not gonna say it.
Okay, we're done with the spoilers.
Okay.
Well, we pretty much summed up Kingdom of Ash.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you want to talk about?
do you want me to read my review? Just kidding.
Please
Okay,
don't.
here's the thing. The more
getting you
that I
depressed.
sit and like think about it, like I can really appreciate this series a lot. So I hope you guys know that.
Yeah.
For me, speaking of TikTok, I genuinely think TikTok ruined Kingdom of Ash for me because I was so good at making sure I was like scrolling past anything that I even hinted towards like Kingdom of Ash. The amount of time, or just Throne of Glass, the amount of times I even skipped past ACOTAR ones because I was just like what if this has, you know? So I appreciate when people put spoiler warning for Throne of Glass or whatever. Because we don't need to talk about how Crescent City got ruined for me and I haven't even read it yet.
And me.
So anyways,
Just kidding. I kind of know-ish.
Yeah, which is so dumb. But I just swear I saw so many things that were just about how like, and was the ending emotional? Yes, like this was a very emotional book, but I was reading so many things on TikTok just like by trying to scroll past that were just like, there's so much death. And yes, there was so much death, but from what I gathered from the things that I was reading and what I had heard is it just sounded like some big main character was going to die. And I was just like trying to piece together the whole time I was reading, like, who's going to die? Who's going to sacrifice themselves for who? And I had,
sacrifice himself.
let's bring that back. I had this like theory in my brain of something that I was like, oh my gosh, I think this is going to happen. And I thought it was going to be so epic, but I was going to be so heartbroken. And then it just kind of like, everyone got their happy ending. And while I love that for everybody, I just like, I don't know. I was kind of like, I hate to be like, I wanted someone to die, but I'm like, you're telling me there's these 12 like main characters and they all lived. And I understand like they've all been through so much, but I think in my brain, I just had this certain thing that I wanted to happen. And I was kind of disappointed that it didn't, because it almost felt like there were these foreshadowing elements that I was like, oh, like I think this is gonna happen because this has been talked about.
You,
and then
you can say what it is.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm like trying to like be sneaky. No,
Not give spoilers.
so I personally, and I mean, I think this would have been epic. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I thought because this book was based the series was based so heavily on friendship and the love. Oh, when Kale and Dorian reunited,
Cries.
I was like, and he was talking about Irene, and he's like, there's, when it's Dorian's perspective, he like mentions about how like he loves Irene. Like he's like, I would marry her if I could, because like he just loves her so much, and he's so happy for Kale. And so when I knew that like Irene was going to be the one to try to like take, or what were they calling it, heal her, Maeve, I was like, oh, Dorian, well, because I saw this thing on TikTok that I sent Mikayla, and I was like, I just saw this. Is this a spoiler? And she was like, it's not. And I thought,
well, at that point, I didn't think you were going to finish the series.
Yeah.
You were like, I was convinced you weren't going to finish. So that's why I was like, it's not a spoiler.
Yeah.
Like,
which it wasn't. It like, in a way it was, because I didn't really know that Dorian and Manon were going to get together at that point. So that kind of ruined it for me. But it was showing that like Dorian had died, but it was just basically like a fan made art showing how Manon is immortal and Dorian is not. And I just didn't like put that together. And so I was thinking in my brain, because there was just so much talk about like how he'd do anything for Kale, that I thought that Irene was going to be like trying to save or trying to heal Maeve or something. And she was going to need some sort of assistance, and Dorian was going to have to like sacrifice himself for Irene so he could save his friend, basically. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Which, I mean, technically that did happen.
Yes.
Dorian just didn't die.
He just didn't die.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like I was just expecting some sort of big, and it wasn't even that I wanted it to happen. It was just because I literally was expecting something like that. So then when it didn't happen, I was like, oh, everyone just lit. Like, I mean, I don't know, not everyone, but you know what I mean? But
13,
like everyone whose perspective that you read throughout like the book, I'm just like, just for that ending. And I don't want to mean to sound like morbid, but I'm just like, I don't know. I guess I was just surprised that like not one of those main, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I feel you. I feel like TikTok overhypes things a lot.
Yeah.
And ruins things a lot, because I feel like when people were like overhyping Kingdom of Ash, I'm like, shut up, just let people like experience it instead of expecting this like big grand thing. Because what if they don't feel the same way about certain characters that you do? Like, some people love Gabrielle, some people love Kale, like Kale's their favorite character. Like, I'm like, everyone has different favorites, and I feel like that kind of, so when people are like, oh my gosh, Kingdom of Ash is so epic, it's really epic, but it's not epic in a way that people might assume it is, because there's so many characters and a lot of people that put on the death list with no spoiler warning. Boo.
Yeah, did I tell you about this? I got a TikTok that was like, when Aelin and Rowan, something about the gods letting Aelin and Rowan visit this list of people. Basically, it was everybody who wasn't immortal. But in my head, once again, like Reggie, I didn't put that together that they weren't immortal. So I thought they all died.
Yeah.
So I did come into this book thinking that like all these people were going to die, and they didn't. And at first I was disappointed. But something in my life has changed my mind, and I'm happy with the happy endings.
Same.
We'll do our fan casts, and then we're going to end the episode with our overall rating of the series.
Yes.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
I'm going to go first because my phone's going to die.
Will you please?
Okay, so we kind of... Sorry if I just blew out the speakers right there. We kind of just kind of fan casted for as much as we could think of, because there's so many different characters. So we might not all have the same characters that we've fan casted for. I literally only got 4 people. So to start with, Dorian. I think he's a model. I don't know. He just fit it. It's Evans Nicopolius.
Don't know who that is.
All right. I'm going to look him up.
Those of you who are just listening on the podcast app, go watch our YouTube, and we'll put up photos of every fan
dang
cast.
Yeah. I think this is the fan cast for...
I saw that, and it's the fan cast for Azriel. I'm pretty sure.
This one looks like Rhysand.
Let me see.
I'm just looking at this picture of Adian on here, and I just hate him looking at the photo.
That might be a fan cast for Rhysand, actually.
Anyways, I think he could also be a good Dorian.
He could be a good Dorian, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Especially that one where it looks like he's wearing like a little uniform.
Yeah.
Are you guys
that
ready
one?
for
Cute.
my Dorian?
Yeah.
Okay, here is my one precursor, okay? This man would have to really beef up, okay?
Okay.
Keep that in mind. Imagine a beefy version of Timothy Chalamet.
I would agree with that. I like
beefy
it.
version.
He was who I was going to say for Sam.
Okay.
Timothy Chalamet.
I could see Sam.
Yeah,
Yeah, but just he's got to be beefy no matter what.
He's very gangly. I love him so much. He's very gangly, and he would have to...
He'd have to beef up. But
Yeah.
I picture Dorian as almost having like, not feminine features, but a lot more like...
Well, he's supposed to be like very like beautiful.
Pretty.
Yeah, pretty. Yeah.
Do you have a fan cast for Dorian?
Yeah, here's the thing, you guys. This tells you how much I was just in and out of this series. My apologies.
Why am I so nervous?
For some reason, I thought that the Dorian in the beginning, and maybe it's because I got him confused with Kale. I thought he had like this goldeny hair. I just was picturing that way.
I don't mean
But yeah. But this guy could do dark hair. I'm seeing pictures of him with dark hair. But the thing is I've only seen him in one show ever. And so I'm seeing him in other pictures, and I'm like, wait, what the freak? But his name is Lucas Gage. Have you guys seen You season 4?
Who?
Yes.
Season 4 of You.
Yes. No, I haven't seen
He plays
but I know
just
what
one
You
of the new
is.
characters.
Okay.
It's really hard for me to find like a good picture of him, if you guys can see. But like he could have dark hair. Maybe he would be better as Kale.
For those of you who haven't seen You, he's also in
Like this.
White Lotus. He's in White Lotus.
Okay. But picture him maybe with dark hair. I just feel like, because this is my problem. My toxic trait is that if I'm watching a show while I'm reading a book at the same time, I start to like think of who I'm seeing on my shows in my books.
Yeah.
So like his witty, like I'm so like a big deal kind of personality in like the first few books. You know what I mean? I mean, he's like that in a lot of the books. I mean that in a good way. Was reminding me of this character a little bit in You. And so I was like, oh, I could see him being like a Dorian. But with the hair, maybe it's more Kale.
I have one more Dorian. I forgot about it. His name is Arthur Goss. I don't know. That's what he looks like.
Ooh.
Okay.
Male model scene.
Love him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, maybe.
Not me thinking he would be a good Azriel.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like
Maybe
him.
with darker hair, I think he looks really well in a suit. Can you imagine like a prince's uniform?
I mean,
Oh, I like him. I don't know who he is, but I like him.
I think he's just a model. So here's the thing is, I can only see models.
yeah.
And it's hard for me to do like actors and actresses.
Yeah.
So, all right. Should I go one more time?
Yeah.
Okay. I got Aylin. I'm actually really love this.
I have 4.
For Aylin?
Yes, because I couldn't decide.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Freya Allen.
I think I've seen her a lot. Let me see what she looks like.
Um,
Sorry for those who are listening.
no, I'm trying to find like, okay, she played something. Oh, she's in The Witcher.
Okay.
I haven't seen The Witcher.
I haven't either. But
Oh, I can see that just from like the setting,
the setting.
Oh,
the
yeah, I can see
hair,
that.
the
Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to find, because like all of her like red carpet looks are not it. I don't know. Maybe this is a kind of a better picture of like
Okay, I could see it.
the really blonde hair, kind of more. Yeah.
The blue eyes.
Yeah.
Would you guys like to hear my list?
Yeah, please do. Share them all.
Okay. This first one, she would have to grow about 6 inches. I don't know how tall she is. She's like not tall and gangly the way gangly's not the right word, but she's not as tall as Selena.
Yeah.
Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
My next one, and honestly, I could also see her as Manon. Anya Taylor-Joy.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I could see her. I feel like I could see her as Manon.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I could see her as Manon for sure. Emilia Clarke. She is on
She's in the Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And then the last one is Eliza Taylor. Have you guys seen The 100?
Mm-mm.
All of these people are a little short, but
Yeah. I don't know. I actually hate her.
the girl in 100?
Yeah. She just drives me crazy. I'm sure she's a great person in
Yeah.
general.
Like
Yeah.
the look of her, I can
Yeah.
see her as that.
And
It's
she
this
plays
one.
like this bad A.
I hate her character in The 100.
I know. Okay, who's your fan cast?
For Aylin
Mhm.
/ Selena, I've got Taylor Momsen from Gossip
Okay.
Girl, and if you watched her when she was a little child in How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Anyways, not her as a child. Anyways, that's just where she's from. I don't know.
I could
She
see
was-
it, like looks wise, yeah.
Well,
I
yeah,
could
like
see it.
looks wise, but also just like the attitude. Like I think of
Yeah.
like, I mean, she was a little more like annoying in Gossip Girl, like attitude, but like I feel like she could bring Aylin's like
Yeah.
attitude.
Yeah.
I didn't know she was like really like this in real life. Though.
Yeah, she is.
That's
Yeah.
a little too dark for me, but like,
She can wear different makeup.
yeah.
She's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a Kel one.
Okay.
Theo
don't e-
James.
Yeah. I can see it. Maybe younger Theo James, because
Mhm.
I feel like he's
Mm-hmm.
older now.
I just like had during one of the books I kept picturing Kale as someone, but then I was like, I know Kale, because Kale's white, right?
Yeah.
Is he supposed to be white?
Yeah, I think so.
Anyways, I was like, I know Kale's white, but for some reason, I don't know why. But there was one book, I don't know what book it was. I don't know if it was like Queen of Shadows. I was picturing Michael B. Jordan.
I'd be happy with that.
Don't ask me why.
Michael B. Jordan.
Don't
That's way
ask me
better.
why. But I just remembered that
Can
as
you imagine? He just like pops up the
I
first
know who you be
episode.
shipping Selena with. Michael B. Jordan.
Actually, no, probably not. Because
she should be. I'm shipping myself with Michael B. Jordan. Anyways, I know that does not go with his character, but I don't know why. I was reading, like, I think it was Queen of Shadows. I'm like, why am I thinking
you
of
imagine,
Michael B.
like,
Jordan?
a TV or movie comes out and they like keep all of the cast hidden, and within like the first few minutes, also Michael B. Jordan just like shows up and just like, I'm Kale.
Don't ask me why.
Michael B. Jordan is a very talented actor.
He
but
is. I just don't know if I could.
Yeah,
I
don't
has
ask
he
me why.
ever been in like anything but like present day? If that makes
No.
sense. I want, because like
No,
I don't
has he
think so.
been anything like back in the day or
I
like
don't think so.
medieval
I don't.
period piece? I don't
No,
know.
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
I feel like he just
Let's
doesn't
sign
have
him up
that
for
look
one.
about him. He has a very modern look.
I
if
get
it-
that.
if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah, I see that.
His teeth are too beautiful. His smile.
He's too perfect, you guys.
If he smiled at me in real life, I think I would pass away.
Do you have a Kale fan cast?
Oh yeah. His name is Charlie Rowe. I think he's a cutie.
Okay.
Oh, that is
I think
cute.
he would just have to get a little beefier.
Yeah.
But a cutie Kale.
Because everyone in the series is very attractive and beefy.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want
Female
nothing
gaze,
less.
I'm telling
Okay,
you.
also I have to say, I feel like in anything fantasy, everyone's got to be beefy because they always are working towards like fighting.
Oh, yeah, they're
like, they always
training
are
for
constantly
war.
working out.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it just wouldn't work out if there was a character that was
Sickly
like
If Timothy Chalamet was playing.
well, he plays the king, and like I forget what it's called. I think
He's
it's
playing Willy Wonka.
No, there's like okay. Sorry, this is a weird tangent. The king, he is.
Oh,
I know what you're
yeah.
talking about. I've seen
Yeah.
clips.
Yeah.
He's very. I don't know. Maybe
Interesting.
I haven't. See, look at that boy.
Yeah, he's pretty small.
I'm sorry if you guys can't see this.
I saw someone cast Harry Styles as Kale on TikTok. Someone was like, I can only picture Harry Styles as Kale. And I'm like,
Would he keep his accent?
Of course.
I mean, he's been speaking an American one. We know that from Don't Worry, Darling.
But I love his accent.
I know, same.
I want him to keep it.
Same. Okay, Rowan.
I can't come up with a Rowan.
You go first, Mikayla.
Okay, his name is Otto Sepalpanian.
Mikayla's just really in the model world.
I took a screenshot. Oh my heavens.
Actually, is that a real person?
Yes. That's him.
That's a real
Is
person?
that his real hair?
Yeah, no, I think they dyed it. His
Well, yeah.
real hair is dark. But they dyed it for a photo shoot. And if they just slapped green eyes on his eyeballs
Okay, but
and
here's-
tattooed his face
Ooh,
up.
Here's my thing, though. I kind of picture Rowan as, like, maybe a little older.
I mean,
Like, kind of like older.
Resand is older than Rowan. Resand is 500 years old. Rowan's only 300. Did you know that?
No. Okay, give me a break on this one, okay?
I like one of them. I don't know what the other one is. I like it. I feel like if he had shorter hair in The Witcher, it would be fine.
If this man had longer hair. Oh, I gotta say it.
Wait,
Hi.
who is that?
Richard Madden.
I love him.
He's in the Eternals.
Oh,
Okay.
How I
Why
know
does
him
he,
is
like,
from the Cinderella
look-
movie, and he
Oh.
is so dreamy.
That's
so
okay.
attractive. He's also
he's
been in.
giving me like Sebastian Stan vibes a little bit.
I'm aware.
Actually, Sebastian Stan as Kale. Stop! Stop! In
Kennedy
case you know,
swing to the
Kennedy is obsessed with Sebastian Stan.
Kale. That
I think he would be a good Kale.
He would be a great Kale.
I think he would. Okay, wait, but here's my question. Do you see all of the characters? I mean, I know they're different ages because we're in like this fantasy world, but like, do you see them as all like looking about the same age, or do some of them look older? That's my question.
I
just don't know how the Fays age.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I picture it kind of being like almost Twilight vibes, where it's like, or what do they call it in Throne of Glass when they like hit their? What is it called?
I can't remember.
But they basically hit.
Turning? Is that called a turning?
I don't think so. I can't remember. But basically, they like basically turn immortal at a certain point in their life. Obviously, they don't age after that. So it probably just depends on when they stop.
Yeah.
because
when they turn
Because
eternal.
Maeve is technically how old, and she's still like very young and
Yeah.
beautiful. So I wonder if like all
Different ages.
yeah,
That's kinda
but
what
they
I
all
think.
kind of look
Young.
similar in age,
Except
Yeah.
for obviously
Except for
like
Dorian
Kale
and Kale.
Dorian, all the
Yeah.
like non-immortal people.
Nehemia.
Speaking of which,
I don't have a fan cast for her.
I only pictured Zendaya.
Oh, I was picturing Zendaya as
Irene.
Irene.
Oh wait, yes, sorry. Yes, that's
Yes.
what I meant.
Yeah.
Irene is Zendaya.
Look at
yeah.
her, so good.
Nehemia I picture to be like a lot more darker skin.
Tom Holland as Kale.
Sebastian Stan is my Kale now.
I know. I just would be really cute if they played that together.
Tom
Yeah,
Holland
that would be
as
cute.
Dorian?
Ye-
Dye his hair dark?
Yeah,
No.
but Tom Holland having to like
Be with
be with
Oh, hi,
Manon.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Right.
Manon. Oh, sorry.
I don't
we don't
have
need a
Manon.
I have a Manon.
I had
Okay, show me your Manon.
Yeah.
Show me
You
your
guys know her.
Manon.
I don't know why I was picturing her. I don't know if she'd be good, but this is who I pictured. I don't need to pull up a picture of her. Megan Fox.
I see it because she's like very sharp looking, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. I don't know how to
I
Like-
also see her as Maeve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Megan Fox.
Mhm.
Like a young Megan Fox. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
Well, she looks
pictured-
beautiful now. I feel
I
like if she
know,
was a
dude.
Maeve, it would be perfect.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I just pictured
But
when
I
I was
like
picturing
that.
the
Me
witches.
too.
I was picturing that kind of like vibe.
Sexy because they're supposed to be
I
beautiful
love
beyond
that.
belief.
Yes.
I love
that
it.
vibe. You're right.
Thanks, guys.
That was good.
That was good.
That was good.
Thanks. See, I was paying attention when I was reading.
She
Her
could
and Jennifer's Body. I never actually have seen that movie.
I haven't either.
I've seen
I have
clips
no
of
idea
it
what
on
you're talking
TikTok.
about.
Basically, she like is a vampire, and we don't need to get into it. But she plays like a
Oh, okay, something like,
kind
evil,
of,
sexy,
yeah,
evil.
or like
Ooh.
lures boys, and yeah, kind of same vibe. as
Ooh,
Manon.
okay.
There
Yeah.
you go. There you go.
I
Love
love
it.
it. I love all of your guys' fan cast. I
Yeah.
feel like
Fun.
Yeah,
I
love it.
there's so many characters.
Sorry, I was just making fun of how much we say yeah, and I love it.
Yeah. It's hard. I feel like there's so many characters in this one, and I think a lot of people could do this one well,
For sure.
because I feel like she's not too specific, whereas ACOTAR, it's like,
Literally down to a T. Yeah.
yeah, you gotta be
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
It's also fun to see everybody's fan casts because everybody pictures everybody so differently.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys have any fan casts for Throne of Glass, send them our way.
please.
We're open to suggestions.
Oh, we should do honestly like a question box where we're like your fan cat and like post.
Oh yeah,
repost
your
do
it.
fan
it. Yeah,
cast
that's
for.
cute.
Ooh, I
love
love
it.
it. I
We're doing
love
it.
looking at people's fan casts.
too.
TikTok, I'm
We
like,
love
I'm
your
gonna watch this
feedback and
entire
your
thing.
ideas.
Yeah.
So-
Okay, I think the last thing on the list is just rating
the
the
series,
series
as a whole.
overall. Are we doing it out of 5 or should we do it out of 10?
5.
All right. You guys already know what my review of this entire series is gonna be. It's gonna be a 5 out of 5 for me.
Not surprising.
Yeah.
Reggie?
I want you to go first.
I'm going to give this 4.75. Only because there were a few moments in Heir of Fire where I wasn't loving it. Ironically, Manon's chapters. But if I were to go back and reread it, I know I'd give it a 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
What would you guys say I rated as?
I'm gonna say you're gonna say 3 or 2.5.
I'm going to say you're going to give it a 3.75.
3.75.
Oh,
Mikayla's shocked.
I am shocked.
I just feel like the more I sit and think about it, the more I do love it. It was just the only thing I will say is that for me, the thing that's really hard with fantasy books is I hate that it takes you like 300 pages of a book or more to get to like the really good stuff, and I understand it's necessary, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mikayla,
Yeah.
if it makes you feel better, I give ACOTAR 4.75 stars as well. So they're the same to me.
I give it 4.
That's
Yeah.
great.
I still think it's good. Not my favorite though.
It's okay.
Okay, that's all.
Thanks so much for listening to our podcast, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and write us a review as long as it's nice.
Just kidding.
Mhm.
We're fragile.
No, if you want to write a bad review, I'll
It's
delete
okay.
it.
Just kidding. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at What She's Reading Pod. And
we hope you enjoyed.
Happy
See you next
reading.
week.
Bye.
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 That was a lot.